All right, everybody. Hi, thank you for coming to join us today to talk about cool tools and tips. I'm gonna share my screen and I need to optimize for sound. All right, so if you're here to learn about cool tools and tips, you're in the right spot. I really appreciate everybody joining us during your lunchtime for this presentation. And I want to make sure that you all know that we have a set of links and resources for this presentation, so you don't have to worry about do you have all of the links that I'm going to show? You just go to that bit.ly, and it is case sensitive. And when Rob has a chance, he'll pop that link for you in the chat. Within this link, you'll see a folder. I'll show you the folder. Here's the folder, and it has a document that has a list of all the links. It has the PowerPoint presentation and a couple of additional resources. So I just wanted to show you that so that you would know and not worry too much about whether or not you have access to everything that I'm going to show you. And oops, I went too far here with the, I guess that's okay. Just so that you know who I am, I'm Alexandra Pickett. I'm the Director of Online Teaching at SUNY Online, and that's my child Arrow, my husband Dan, and my dog Bella. And if you know me, then you know Bella is 15 years old, just turned 15, and my fur baby. And you all know, SUNY. I do this presentation outside of SUNY sometimes. And so just so that you know, I live a little bit west of Albany near Schenectady County Community College, just so that you can put a little, I just put a little circle around. I live very close to there so that you know where I'm located. If you wouldn't mind popping your information in the chat to introduce yourself, that would be super cool. I first want to show you the page that has all the links on it so that you can see in that folder that I showed you under this Cool Tools 2023 is this page full of the links for all of the cool tools that are part of this presentation. We're doing this presentation in two parts because there's a lot to share with you. And so this is part one. And we'll choose two of the areas, connection, community, care, and content to talk about today. You're going to get to choose two of those that we'll do today. And then when you come back next time, we'll do it again, and we'll do two more of the categories of information. The first link that I want to share with you is one of my favorites, just so that you have it. I'm not going to go through this, but I just wanted you to have it when I'm looking for current tools. And actually, there's one for 2023 now. This is a wonderful resource that has been around forever and ever, and I come to this resource to explore and also contribute my thoughts about the cool tools that I'm playing around with to enhance my instruction or my professional activities. So I just wanted to share that with you. Now, before we get started with the presentation, I wanted to get to know a little bit about you all. And so I've set up this Mentimeter for you to, and I think this is the link. So I'll pop it in the link to help Rob out there because he's admitting people. If you click on that, you will get to this question where you can share with us 3 cool or unique things about yourself so we can get to know you a little bit better. So yeah, so go ahead and click on the link, and then you should be able to begin to populate it should turn into a word cloud. Are you able to access this?
No, I can't seem to copy the link.
Oh. All right. Well, another alternative is to go to, I don't know why you should be able to just get there.
Alex, it's Lisa. I was just able to click on it.
Oh, good. So did you get in, Lisa?
Yes.
Did you add your little three?
No, I'm thinking of what's unique about me.
There-
I'm having
there
a
we
hard
go.
time.
All right, there we go. It's starting to show up. All right, so you should be able to click on that link. And if not, you can go see at the top, it says menti.com and then use 65471231. You should be able to get in that way also. All right, so we have a lot of folks here. Someone is a salsaritas. That's awesome. Teacher, friendly, mom, hiker, loves national parks, positive, loves to dance, retiring, a reader, inspired, travel, card maker, epidemiologist, funny, musician, lifelong learner, online educator. Wow. All right. Thank you. Activist, physician, graduate student, global event producer, rollerblader, dog lover. Me too. I'm actually a cat person, but I love my dog. Rob, you are Rob. Is that you? That's awesome. All right, that's who we are. Now, why can't I turn this off? Spotlight. Undo. And it's not letting me get out of here. Clear mouse, that's what I need. All right. Now I wanted to turn on the next slide for us so that we can find out what we're going to actually covered today. So I want you to vote. I have enabled the next slide and I want you to vote about what you would like to learn more about today. And the 4 categories of tools and tips that I have for you today are around the topic of building community and engagement and interaction, connection, designing content, and communicating care. So I want you to go ahead and fill that out and let us know what you would like to focus on for our agenda today, so that you can have a say in what we're going to cover today. This is about providing choice and demonstrating providing choice, and so we will cover whatever it is that you're interested in talking about today. This is a strategy you can use in your own instruction as well, giving learners choice. All right, so there we are. You can see the results. Connection is in the lead. Community, content are sort of even Steven.
Alex, there's a question in the chat about, is there another link for this, or is it the same link as before?
Yeah, it's the same link. You should be able to just go to the next. It should have taken you to the next slide. And if you can't use the link that's in the chat, you can go to menti.com and go to 65471231. Should be able to do that. All right, so far content and connection are in the lead. Give everyone a couple seconds to continue to vote. For anyone who just joined us, if you go to menti.com and type in 65471231, you'll get to this poll where you can help to let us figure out which of these topics we're going to talk about today. So, all right, let's call it as content and connection. All of these topics are equally important and equally relevant, and I have a lot to say about each of them. And so we're going to cover content and connection today based on your input. And the first topic is content. And some of the things that I have to show you are related to first content design. And so when you're thinking about your online instruction and whether that's blended or whether that's fully online, often faculty who are initiating thinking about their course and how they're going to design it to teach it online, they are often they have questions about how much and how much is too much or how much is enough and how do you gauge that. And often the impulse for an online instructor is to put everything that they know into their online course, and that ends up being like a course and a half. It ends up being difficult to organize and just ends up being too much work. So for the students as well as for the instructors. So what I love as an instructional designer is to give faculty tools to help them estimate and work out exactly how much they're having their students do. This is one way, it's not the only way, and I highly recommend you working with an instructional designer when you're planning and laying out a course. But here are some of the tools that you could use either independently or with an online instructional designer. And so this tool, which is designed by, I think it's Wake Forest University, and there's also one by, I think it's Rice University. But I like this one because it's interactive and it allows you to think through the different categories of activities in your course and play around with them and see what that ends up looking like in terms of your workload estimates. And so you can see if I muck around here with the other assignments and how many hours per week I'm estimating that the students will be doing that. You can see as I move this little slider, it adjusts the estimates. And the same is true for any of the other elements in this calculator. So I invite you to take a look at this and see if it might help you to start thinking about what the activities are you're having them do and what impact that has on the time that the students are going to be engaged in activities for your course. And you want to think about, as one tool that you can use to help you with those estimates and calculations. Also, in terms of content, I want to call attention to this online equity rubric that will help you to think about another lens to lay on top of your design of your course, and to really think about how you are attending to creating with your content a learning community that is inclusive, where it fosters a sense of belonging and where students feel like they belong, have trust, and feel part of the community. The Peralta Equity Conference actually starts today. It's a free online virtual conference. And if you're interested in this topic, I highly recommend it. You could still register for it. It's today, tomorrow, and Friday. I'm actually presenting at that conference Friday night. This is the third annual conference of the Peralta group. And it's a really excellent DEI focused event. So I recommend that. Now, in the topic of presenting content, and helping students in various ways, being inclusive in various ways, I wanted to demonstrate this super cool tool in Google Slides. And so I'm going to get into the presenter mode for this. And then I'm gonna advance the slide. And so what this is going to demonstrate is how to generate automatic closed captioning using Google Slides. And so I went into presenter mode, and then down here at the bottom, you'll see this is how you advance slides. And there's these three little dots for options. And I'm going to turn on the automatic closed captioning feature of Google Slides. And if you can see down at the bottom, as I speak, it is automatically generating closed captioning from what I'm saying. And it's a wonderful tool to be able to use for those who have hearing challenges. So I wanted to demonstrate this for you, to do it live and have you see what it looks like and how it actually works. And this slide, which you will have access to as a demonstration in the file folder, you can actually, go and follow the directions and test it out for yourself. So it's a feature of Google Slides. And so if it's something that you find yourself needing to do, you're either at a presentation or you're wanting to add that functionality to a course, it's a very cool tool that has this automatic feature already built into it. Now, also for presenting content, I wanted to share with you some resources that will allow you to search and find freely available, openly licensed images. And my go-to resource is Unsplash. And I don't know, you may have your own favorites, but I'm going to do a search on tools in Unsplash. And it will show you some, it combines sort of things that you can purchase as well as things that are for free. So you just have to pay attention to what that is. But all of these where you see, Upsplash or Unsplash, you would be able to download them and edit them and adjust them however, and use them however you would need. Obviously, attribution and recognition of the original artist who took the image or created the image should be recognized. But anyway, this is one of my favorite places to go. I also, when I can't find something, I'll go to Flickr. And on this page, you can actually see the images that have been uploaded into Flickr by attribution. And so you can decide, which one, if any, you are you can find things and then follow the Creative Commons license accordingly. CC BY is always the most open. Well, public domain is the most open. That's down here at the bottom. So that's free and totally, open. CC BY, it just requires attribution, and that's the one that I usually choose. To move on, for presenting content, I wanted to mention Bitly, which is my go-to tool to shorten links. I use, as you can see, if you look at my browser, there are a million links up here, and I often will create short links so that when I'm in a presentation like this, I can create shorter links that I can share easily with people. And so the one for today is Cool Tools 2023. You can see it here. And I customized the back end, the Cool Tools 2023 with Bitly. And then it tracks, like I'm in my own account, and it tracks all of the Bitlys that I have made. And I've been using this for years and years and years. So I have a ton of them. So it's a very, very cool tool to assist you in making sort of contextual URLs to share information. Another cool tool that I love is called Canva, and Canva is really just an amazing tool that allows you to create all different kinds of things, from slides to badges to presentations to all different kinds of types of the presentation of visual things. I'll show you this is my projects in Canva. I use the free version. Everything I'm showing you today is free. I use the free versions. Often I'll see if there's an education version of it, and then I'll use that free education version. And there's lots that you can do if you pay for it a little more. You get increased features, functionality, access, whatever. But everything that I do with Canva, I've done for free. So I wanted to show you that this presentation, the slides for this presentation, I actually used Canva as sort of the foundation for the slides that I created with, for this presentation. So you can see this is what it turned out to be. This is what it looked like as sort of a template in Canva. And then I just went in and I changed the colors, and I added my own slides and my own links, and I did my own images, and essentially just used the template and then customized it to create the super cool, slides that I used for this presentation. So I just wanted to show you an example of how I used it to create a set of slides. The other thing that I sometimes use for presentations is a tool called Prezi, which has now been around for a long time. And, for a while, everybody was doing Prezi. And it's that wonderful tool that lets you zoom in and out. And it creates a visual, nonlinear way of designing presentation slides. And you can use it in a variety of ways. And I want to point this out. You can use it yourself to present content, but you can also use it as a tool that you share with your students for them to be able to make their thinking and learning visible to you. If you're asking them to do any kind of a presentation or a report on anything, this could be an option that you could share with them so that they can make their report or their presentation or their group project more, slick looking, engaging. It's a fairly easy tool to use. I use the free version again. And here I think I have, they have a free version, just showing you that's the one I use. And then here is an example of a presentation that I created. And this was like a poster presentation of a research project that I did. So I'm going to play a couple of seconds of it just so that you can see an example of that in case you've never seen Prezi before or want to see it in a context of a use case. I'll just play a few seconds of it for you.
Hi, my name is Alejandra Pickett. This is the narrated e-poster for my ETAP 680 online course class project for my spring 2019 online course, Research Seminar, Critical Introduction to Educational Research Paradigms. The title of my e-poster and proposed research project is Shift Happens. In this study, I am interested in learning more about what influences traditional college faculty to shift from teacher-centered instructional approaches to adopt learner-centered practices when they transition to an online teaching and learning environment. How to design and facilitate learning online is not intuitive. It requires training. Online faculty development is necessary to learn how to use the online technical platform and tools in an effective and engaging manner.
All right, I'm going to stop it there. You will have access to this presentation if you're super interested in my topic. You can read or listen to and watch the whole presentation. I wanted to show you this because the way that I set up is I designed the Prezi and then I audio recorded my voice on top of it, and I have it set to autoplay. So so I just wanted to show, there's lots of ways that you can use Prezi. You don't have to use it in this way. It could just be static and you advance the slides. You don't have to lay voice over it. It can just be like slides, like presentation slides. But I wanted to show you how this could be used by a student to present their project in a way that could be used as a poster for a conference, or could be used just as a presentation to you as the online instructor to see the work that they had done. This is a link in the materials that will give you sort of instructions on how to use Prezi. So I've included all of these links, including, how to actually use the tool in the page with all of the links. And like I said, it's fairly intuitive and easy to use. So I also use a tool called Screencast-O-Matic, which now is called ScreenPal. So I don't know when they actually changed from Screencast-O-Matic to ScreenPal, but I've used Screencast-O-Matic for years, the free version. And what I love about it is it allows me to capture whatever's on my screen so that I can give rich feedback to my students on their projects and their work. I can also do how-to videos. I can also do, anything that I can put on my screen, I can capture it using Screencast-O-Matic, and it's free, and it gives you 15 minutes. And so if you have more than 15 minutes to talk about, I would just string, multiple screencasts or ScreenPals now together. I use this tool extensively in my online instruction, like I said, again, for providing rich video audio feedback where I have their project up and I'm pointing to things and talking about things that they have submitted for feedback. And then I can give them that video back and they can watch it and play it again and again, stop it, make adjustments to their work, iterate their work, and then, send it back to me based on my feedback. So I just wanted to share with you and show you one of the screencasts that I've made. This has to do with use of the Oscar dashboard, if you're familiar with Oscar. But you can see in the middle of the screen, you see my screen, which was the SUNY Online Oscar 3.0 dashboard. And then you see my little face down in the lower right hand side, and I set it up to do that. You can not show your face, you can just show your face, you can show both your face and the screen. So just wanted to show you that. I'll play a couple seconds of this. And there we go. It finished, and then when you click here, it has all of the items under there that it needs. So you can add a course, and all of these different options. So I hope that helps. I hope that's what you were asking. So that's how someone asked me a question and I fired Screencast-O-Matic up or ScreenPal up, made a little video recording, and then sent it back to them. It's a lot easier for me to show them than to actually type out, go here and click this and download that. And so I just wanted to show an example of how that actually functions. So those are the resources that I have for you regarding content and content presentation. The next category that we're going to talk about is, which one is it? Connection? Is that the one we're doing? Yeah, connection. So let's go to connection. And see, I was ready to do any one of those categories. So just finding my place. So in terms
Hey, Alex?
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a question. How easy is it to upload videos using Prezi or ScreenPal into Brightspace?
So if you have the file and if it lives digitally in the cloud, it is very easy to upload, and you don't actually upload it, you embed it. And that's a best practice, rather than uploading video files into the Brightspace technical environment, the best practice is to store your video somewhere in the cloud. And I would check with your instructional designer to see if they have something like Ensemble for you or somewhere on your, available to your institution for digital media like that. And then follow those, rules and guidelines. And then once it's in the cloud somewhere or stored somewhere, typically I put things into YouTube. So once it's there, you can easily snag the embed code and then go into Brightspace and add that embed code to any Brightspace document, and it will render there and the student doesn't have to leave Brightspace in order to access it. It'll just look like it's embedded right within the Brightspace environment. It's very easy. There's instructions online from Brightspace, and I would work with your instructional designer if you have any questions really about any of it. They can help you to make sure to get it in correctly. Is that good?
Alex, can I just add that with Brightspace, when you choose upload or create and you choose video or audio, all it waits for is a URL, a web address. So don't let that word embed scare you, because what it does is it embeds automatically when you choose that option. So it's a little less onerous than it used to be to try to get a video into looking nice and slick and in the LMS. So Brightspace is real friendly with cloud-based multimedia.
Perfect. Thanks, Rob. All right. So in talking about connection and building connection with your learners in the online environment, between learners, with your learners, between learners and the content, I have selected a bunch of things to chat with you about. And one of the first ways that I think is important to focus on when you're talking about building connection is making sure that in the design of your course, you have very well articulated learning objectives. And so I have curated some resources that I want to share with you to help you do that. And this article I've used for years because I love how it shows you the difference between an objective that is that could be improved and an objective that is much better stated. And so I invite you to take a look at this article. It looks like it was updated last in 2010, but it is solid. It explains it all very well and has this sort of side-by-side comparison of, needs improvement and better objectives. So in order to assist you to do that, I want to introduce you to this. This is essentially a Bloom's taxonomy wheel that shows the 6 levels of Bloom's taxonomy and then the associated adjectives and descriptions. And there's lots of tools out there that help you to understand what Bloom's is and how to actually articulate objectives using Bloom's. And this is one that I particularly like. It's visual and it breaks things down in this cool sort of pie slice format. So I'll invite you to explore this, whenever you're looking to assess how you have articulated your own learning objectives. I invite you to take a look at this so that you can see where on Bloom's you actually are in terms of how your objectives are articulated. And you might be surprised to see that they are all at the understanding level, and what you really want them to be at is at the applying or analyzing or evaluating levels. So this will help you to look at your own objectives and see where it is that you are with them and adjust them as necessary. The other tool that I love to use and to share with instructional designers and faculty is this wonderful Learning Objectives Builder by ASU. It's an interactive tool and generator. So here you can see about the tool, examples of learning objectives in all the levels, and you'll see there describe, create, diagram, write, explain, and analyze. Those are all those Bloom's taxonomy levels, and then it gives you some instructions. And if we were to begin, I want to go with the evaluate level. So I'm going to pick evaluate, and then it's going to ask me to choose a verb. And so I'm going to say test. By the end of this course module session, you will be able to test and test this tool for possible uses in your online instruction. Let's just say that. Did I spell that right? No. Instruction, period. And then I can copy it and then put it into my course. And then I could create a new one. So it's just a tool to help you think through the process of choosing the Bloom's level and then choosing the adjective and then generating the actual objective. And so I love this, sharing this tool. I think it's super cool.
Hey, Alex?
Yeah.
David has a few questions. Are there any taxonomies that do not focus solely on the cognitive domain?
Yeah, if you look here, this is the next slide. So here we have the cognitive dimensions. I'd invite you to look through this. If you go back to the main page of Bloom's revised taxonomy, you would be able to take a look at some of the other dimensions. Let me just see. Yeah, I'm going to have you take a look at that, at these resources that are posted here in this area. And if you post in the chat, you know, what in particular you're thinking about in terms of domains, I can see if I can follow up after the presentation with resources. I'm sure there are some, and just in the moment I'm not locating the other ones. Any other question from Dave?
Yeah, there's a question. What's the difference between objectives and procedures? And as I'm looking through it, they look very similar. So
Objectives have to do with what your goals are, what your goals are for the students in any instruction. You want to set out a set of objectives that really, or learning outcomes that you could also call them, what the instruction that you are about to deliver is intended to achieve from the student learning perspective. And so it's not procedures. It really is sort of, in some ways, defining how you are approaching designing the learning activities that that comprise the course that you're delivering. And so it's not steps or procedures in a learning activity. Like, it's not take out a beaker and fill it with whatever and then measure it. It's not that. It really is, apply an objective for that might be apply such and such theory in the lab to determine X, Y, or Z in terms of physics or chemistry, for example. So the objectives are, what is it that you anticipate, or what are you planning for the student to be able to do after they have that instruction or in anticipation of the instruction. And every, in an online course, you want to be very, I mean, I would assume that everybody has instructional objectives for their instruction, no matter what modality, but in an online course, you want to be very clear about what those are in order to help frame and give context to the instruction to the learner so that they know what you are about to do or they are about to do and learn. And that also helps you frame your design. So the magic formula for an online course is a set of well-articulated learning objectives that have content and activities that map specifically and only to those stated learning objectives, that then have specific mechanisms to provide feedback and assess learning on those activities which map to those objectives. That's the magic formula for designing an online course. So anything that does not follow that formula should not be in the course. It's just too much. It's excess and not necessary. So that helps to give a framework. The objectives help to give a framework to the content that you're presenting, to the interactions and activities that you're designing for the learners to engage in, so they can make their thinking and their learning visible to you and others in the class, so that then feedback can be provided and assessment or evaluation can be done. That's the magic formula. Anything else?
Sorry, no, that's it.
Okay, all right, carry on then. Here is another visual that I love to share because it's cute and I like owls and it's colorful and visual, but another one of those Bloom's taxonomies and verbs that, helps you to see, the remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So just another one of those tools, like the wheel and like the visual grid there that we had. So also in terms of we were talking about connection, and so learner engagement is super important in creating a climate and community of connection with the students, between the students, with the content. And so this resource here, I'll invite you to dive into and look at, but these are a lot of course management tips to ensure that you are keeping your learners, your online learners, engaged. One of the recommendations I have is to co-create an online learning community agreement with your online learners at the start of a class. So this is like getting started type stuff, and even an ice-breaking type activity where you can brainstorm all of the things that an online, that your individual participants in your class feel is important to them to be able to thrive and feel like they belong in your class. And creating that online learning community agreement helps to pull out from the learners themselves what things are important to them in terms of them feeling comfortable and like they belong in the class and like they are free to interact and express themselves, what concerns they have, what challenges they have. And so I highly recommend this co-creating an online learning community agreement activity. Some simple strategies are things like calling students by their name. When you create a response, start it with the student's name so it's clear to them in the online environment that you are directing that comment at them, even if it falls, as a reply to their discussion post, for example. By starting it with their name, you create connection. You make it clear that you are addressing them. It's obviously public and open to everyone in the class. You can even say, Denise and everyone in the class, or just to, Denise. So calling students by name, do not underestimate the power of using people's names. I also have, this is a new resource that I've developed about helping instructors and instructional designers who help faculty understand how to deal with possible difficult or dominant online learners. And the first thing that I would say about this is don't assume any negative intent, and making sure that you have clarified your expectations. If you don't tell them, they won't know. And that's true in any environment, in any kind of a relationship. And in particular, I think in an online course, many students are doing online for the first time. And so you want to make your expectations crystal clear. And then I would say be sure to plan and to prepare and to practice different strategies and different ways of responding and interacting. I keep a list of sort of, during a course, there are typical questions and typical behaviors or typical things that happen. And I keep sort of a repository of responses that I have crafted, because I take a lot of time with my communications, and I keep them so that I can reuse them term to term. And then I have, a list of types of problems, the description and types of solutions. So if you have someone who is sending communications to everyone in the course, that I call that spamming everyone. There's what you could do for it, making sure you have clear expectations, pointing them to the student lounge where that kind of thing is more appropriate. And then, I have all of these bombs, small stuff, not following directions, making, going off on tangents, and then always being late with things, or actual attacks on anyone, being controlling in interactions, repeatedly putting things in at the last minute. So just a bunch of suggestions. A lot of these can be taken care of by making sure that you have very clear expectations about things, and that you follow those expectations, and immediately when the expectations aren't met, that you have interactions with the students. And again, I don't assume any negative intent, and I try, to not have things be confrontive. Obviously, if there is some blatant abuse, like an attack or something like that, you want to address that immediately, directly and privately with the student. But there you have it. I'll leave this for you to check out in more detail as you can. This also, in terms of community or connection, sorry, we're in connection, is about designing learning activities and really following up on the magic formula for your design of your course, making sure that your objectives and outcomes align with everything that you're doing in the course, in terms of presenting content, in terms of facilitating interaction and collaboration, and in terms of the feedback that you provide or that you organize for students to provide each other, and any assessments or evaluations that you may do. There are a lot of resources here, as you can see, and I will invite you to come back here to dive into designing the learning activities in your courses to foster that sense of connection. So here in this resource, this is more specifically about supporting group work and cooperative work in an online environment. It's a very specific type of learning activity that requires prep and thought. I would work with your instructional designer if you've never done this before in an online environment. It's possible really to do any type of of collaborative activity, including things that you might not think, like role playing or fishbowl activities or think, pair, share activities, those kinds of things. There's lots of ways to do those in an online environment, but they require setup and they require adaptation for the options and limitations of the online environment. So I would invite you to take a look at this and consider, this as one of the ways that you create connection between learners in your online instruction, if it makes sense and is relevant to your course objectives and your discipline and how you teach. All right, so developing class community and interaction resources. You definitely want to spend some time thinking about your instruction with that lens of how you are creating an online class community, and how, what types of interaction you are scaffolding and supporting amongst your students, between your students and the content, and with your students, and think about how you might use those types of activities to really build a learning community, build a sense of trust and amongst the learners in the course and with them, and have them interact over the content and the objectives of the course. Have a lot of suggestions here for how to do things, including, getting started activities like icebreakers, group work, strategies for larger courses. So I'll invite you to take, a dive into this if you're interested in building a stronger sense of online class community in your instruction. And then I will also talk a little bit here about active learning for an online classroom. And I do a whole presentation on active learning, but I really want to, point you to checking out these resources. What's the difference between andragogy, pedagogy, and heutagogy? There are differences, and you want to think about, for adult online learners, how do you make the activities in your class, in your online course activities, active rather than passive, so that you can engage the learners in, making choices about their own learning. So there's a lot of information here. You want to present your content in a way that promotes learning actively, facilitate engagement and interaction. I've been talking about this all along, and then how you provide your feedback and assess learning in active ways that will be, interactive and more engaging for the learners. So 5 strategies. So if you're doing synchronous learning, we've talked a lot about asynchronous, but if you're doing synchronous learning, this is a cool resource from Columbia University, and it provides a bunch of strategies, and we've used some of those. We're doing a synchronous webinar right now. I've done some polling, and I used the tool Mentimeter to do that. Zoom also has a built-in polling feature. And what I love about this resource is it's actually a primer on how to do it. It really tells you how much time you might need to do it. It's talking about the Zoom polling feature, gives you an overview, and then actually how to actually do it. And then some alternative polling tools. And it does the same for a think, pair, share activity that you can do in a synchronous course. So again, this is synchronous. There's a 3-minute paper activity, again, for a Zoom or synchronous course, small group discussions, and short student presentations. It's a really, really good, thoughtful resource with 5 strategies that you can actually do. And it has some good tips about starting out with some low stakes activities, so you and the students can get used to doing them. And then really thinking through what are some of the barriers that students might face in doing any of the activities you're designing, and then test. Always test things out. And I would recommend working with your instructional designer or other colleagues to help you, or even student, that you may have, to help you test out anything that you're trying to do. Let me see. So in moving from passive to active, another thing that I would recommend is, rather than asking, do you have any questions, you change your language to more active language to inquire, what questions do you have, or who has the first question, or ask me 2 questions. These are really simple, easy ways to move your language from passive language to active language to help learners be able to see themselves better in terms of asking questions, and feel more able to ask questions. So speaking about questions, I wanted to share this resource with you about the role of questions in teaching, thinking, and learning. This has been around, this article has been around for a long time, but I love it. It's so amazing of what an art it is to ask a question in an online teaching environment that will produce deep thinking and deep responses from students. And that doesn't happen automatically. It doesn't happen by magic. You have to craft a question so that it will have the chance to elicit those kinds of deep responses from learners. And it is an art, asking a good online question for deeper thinking, for critical thinking. And so I'll invite you to consider that when you look at your own discussion questions. If you see flat responses and students are not going as deeply as you want, it's either the design of the question or the facilitation of the discussion. So I do a whole other webinar on and we here at SUNY Online Teaching do lots of these webinars on these different topics. And this presentation is on what is an online discussion. So you can see here, it's very small type, but it's a very flat discussion. And that's when you have a response like, what is the capital of Albany or New York? And everyone responds Albany. That's not a discussion. That's a short quiz. So here I have some example of a little bit better, because you're actually getting a little bit of depth in terms of responses, and then some information on how to actually design a well-designed online question that you're asking people to reflect, apply, report, explain. You want to have open-ended questions. And then I have a little graphic on, again, I use Canva for this, how to design an online interaction, and then kind of dissecting the anatomy of a discussion post to help you understand, how to design it and how to assess it when you get them back from your students. So, so that is it in terms of building connection. And I see that we're almost at the end of the hour, and I wanted to, oh no, where am I here? No. Oh, I had something that said, here, I'll go back to my slides. So my question had to do is, who has the first question?
Alex, before people start leaving and before they ask their questions, I just want to, the last link I put in the chat is for recordings for prior webinar series.
Mm-hmm.
Prior webinars about online course syllabus, effective online discussions, community resources, and then Cool Tools Part 1, and now this one, Cool Tools Part 2. This is where the recordings will live.
Yep. And I see Serena's question there about reverse discussion. When I say discussion, I don't assume that it's the instructor always who's crafting those questions. In fact, in my course, I start out modeling, how to do it, but by the end of mid-course, the students are doing student-led discussions, and I'm participating every once in a while. So I love that suggestion suggestion or that point, Serena, absolutely. It's part of a best practice in online teaching and learning is facilitating connection between the students and having students lead discussions and bring their application and understanding of what you are trying to convey to them. They're applying it when they design a discussion question and lead the discussion on that question. So really good suggestion. So I am going to look at all of these, all of the chat. And if you want to look at the whole chat in the chat, Zoom chat feature, if you click on the little 3 dots in the bottom of the chat window and click save chat, you'll be able to save the chat for this. But again, I do want to make sure that you know that that's just a summary. That all of the tools here are on that page. Where is it? Here. Here. Cool Tools 2023. That's the one. So thank you for coming. This was part 1 of the Cool Tools. We did content and connection today. We'll fire up the Mentimeter again next time and cover hopefully community and care. I'll have to think about that because I want to cover all 4 of them. So if you come next time, be sure to vote for community and care next time. I want to thank everyone for spending your lunch with us, and I look forward to seeing you at our next presentation. Thank you, everyone. I'll hang out here for a second in case anyone wants to ask a question. I did see something about Carlo was asking about ChatGPT to develop student discussion prompts using Bloom's. I'm curious how we are using ChatGPT and AI. So that's a great question. I love that you're doing that with Bloom's, and I wonder how that's working for you. Is Carlo still here? No. Anyway. Were there any other questions that you all, Rob or Aaron, saw that I should, pay particular attention to?
I didn't see any.
I'll save the chat. And
I
go
did
through
see
that.
the chat GPT. I saw this statement, and
Mhm.
then you were in the middle of something and you were moving on, and so I didn't want to interrupt the flow.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
Because it was a statement first, and then there was a question at the end.
Okay.
And it was more or less like a chat kind of question, like, is anyone else doing this kind of thing? Right.
Well, that would be a whole presentation, right? How people are using it.
Yeah.
Anyone who's left have anything that they want to say or questions that you want to talk about a little bit more? If not, I want to be respectful of people's times and close out this meeting and just say again, thank you for joining us and hope to see you next time. Thank you, Rob and Aaron.
You're welcome.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I think we can close it up then.